A few weeks ago, I was looking for some more fresh video ideas and looking for original content I could do, until I found an underrated YouTuber talk about his unpopular and hot takes about Geometry Dash. Now this got me thinking, what hot takes do I have about the game? Well, I watched the whole video, and while I agree with most of them, some opinions were kinda garbage. So in today's video, I want to give my underrated opinions and hot takes about Geometry Dash. Now, I won't be stating obvious ones that everyone agrees with. Instead, I made my own list and my own underrated opinions that I found the most interesting. So anyway, let's get right into our first hot take of the video. Firstly, I think Magmatic Sanctuary from the Fire Gauntlet should be rated insane. This is in my opinion one of my least favorite harder rating levels, since the gameplay is just awful for being a 2.0 level. I never liked this level. Heck, even levels like Generation Retro had better potential than this level, even though it's the most hated level in the game. Although the first 50% is easy, the rest of the level is just too hard for a harder rated level. Call this a skill issue, but I hate everything after the drop. The transitions between game modes are just terrible. In conclusion, I think Magmatic Sanctuary should be an 8-star insane rated. Anyway, let's move on to the second hot take of the video. I think ToE 2 is the best level RobTop has ever made. I'm pretty sure that there's some people that agree, but I don't hear enough people admit it. Everything from the gameplay, the very cool decoration and designs at the time, and the very dramatic music. I especially love the mystery piano ship. Although it's the hardest part of any RobTop level, it's definitely one of my favorite parts. On top of that, the level ends in the best way possible. You get... My point is, Theory of Everything 2 is undeniably the best RobTop level ever. You may compare it to something like Deadlock, since it too is a very good level, or Blast Processing for having better coins, but they just don't compare to how good ToE 2 is. Now, just imagine if RobTop made ToE 3. Peak cinema. Let's move on to my third hot take of the video. Cheat Codes is by far the best event level. I'm pretty sure that this may be one of my more controversial takes, but hear me out. A level with bad decoration but good gameplay may not look the best, but at least people will enjoy playing the level and won't blame the level if they die. A level with good decoration but bad gameplay is even worse, since the level may look pretty good, but it won't be fun to play. Therefore, the level as a whole is worse. However, Cheat Codes actually balances decoration and gameplay, as although it may be too easy for its easy dimming difficulty, the gameplay is so much fun, and the visuals are just top notch for what it is. It may not look as good as Skeletal Shenanigans or Backbeat Revenge, but in my opinion, it has way better gameplay than both combined. So personally, I think the balance of awesome visuals and very well balanced gameplay makes Cheat Codes the best event level. Also, the song is just a banger. I love the energy the song brings to match the actual level, so overall, by far the best event level. Now, on the flip side, I think Noelle Electra is by far the worst event level. Even Boogie is better than Noelle Electra in my opinion. It may have no gameplay and very questionable decoration, but at least this level is short, unlike Noelle Electra. See, this is an extra long level, 1 minute and 56 seconds to be exact. And for the first 40% of the level, so almost half of the level, it's just harder 6 or 7 star difficulty gameplay. It's really easy. And if you've played this level at least once, you gotta admit that the first 40% is just so easy for its medium demon difficulty. The only part you may struggle on is the swing part, but after a few tries, you'll understand the click patterns. Anyway, the final 40% of the level is just orb spamming and terrible gameplay. Like, I've played levels that even have better gameplay than this. Even like Generation Retro or other levels on that line have better gameplay than this. I mean, it's a third Ponge level. Like, I can't really blame it. Obviously, it's gonna have terrible gameplay. But I just hate this UFO part, especially near the end. The click pattern is just terrible. On top of that, it does not feel good to play. That's basically half of the level where you're just basically living in torture and hell because this level is just so hard to play. And plus, the remaining 20% is just spent by cutscenes. While they were cool at the time, it just doesn't compare to the cutscenes we have today. The best part of the level was the train crash that lasted only 2 seconds. That's how bad the level is. Okay, so far we've been talking way too much about Geometry Dash level, so let's take a little break and let's go talk about some miscellaneous hot takes in Geometry Dash for the other half of this video. Honestly, this one will probably be the most controversial to start off, but I think the wave game mode is overrated. I know that literally 95% of levels use the wave, but it's just overrated. Like, it isn't a bad game mode, but I don't understand why it's so special and overhyped. It's literally just a ship, but easier to control. I think this is one of the easiest game modes to use and learn, although I will admit, the mini wave and the upside down wave are both really hard to master compared to the regular wave. However, it doesn't really make up for all the hype. I just don't quite see why people love the wave so much. This may be controversial, but I feel like the wave is a clone of the ship, just like how the spider is a clone of the ball, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, I hate the wave! I have a feeling Mulpan is gonna hate me for this next one. He's gonna have PTSD from me after I say this. However, I will admit, asymmetrical duels are underrated. They should be included in more levels. Although they are really hard to learn, once you learn how to control 2 icons at once, it's just a blast. The dual portal in general has to be used more, since dual gameplay is just really cool and leads to so much cool levels. They may not belong in easier levels, but can gladly come into harder, insane, and demon rated levels. Not only that, but RobTop has to use the dual portal in more levels. Hexagon Force has some short but really cool dual parts, and there's some really cool levels that just use the dual portal in asymmetrical duels. Or maybe we're just waiting for trio mode in 2.3, where we control 3 players at once in the main level Octagon Force. Now, I've mentioned how the spider is a clone of the ball early in the video. Generally, I hate things that were stolen from its original source, unless it does it better. In this case, however, the spider is a clone that is actually worse than the ball in my opinion. And that's my next hot take. I think the spider is the worst game mode ever made in Geometry Dash. Worse than the UFO, worse than the swing. Because at least the UFO is fun paired with gravity portals and orbs, and the swing goes so well with the camera controls, and even better in its mini form. The spider has nothing to go with it really. It's just so limiting, and it feels really buggy and lacking compared to every other game mode. The ball at least has unique gravity, so you can combine it with orbs and other things for good gameplay. The spider, however, is just so lacking. At least the wave is actually fun to play, and the mini wave is a good challenge. The mini spider doesn't really change the gameplay that much on the other hand. So honestly, I think the spider is my least favorite game mode and the worst controlling one by far. So, of course, I've saved the biggest one for last. I feel like this hot take might get a few people to hate me, but I think I had to say this at one point. I need the people to understand and see this. But anyway, I personally think that Geometry Dash as a community is advancing way too fast. Now, what do I mean by advancing too fast? I simply mean that the achievements Geometry Dash players achieve, they just do it way too fast. This may sound like some sort of skill issue or a random invented thing, but let me explain. Let's take the very talented Geometry Dash creators for example. This is what we used to make back in my day. A very buggy and messy level. At that time, we didn't have the knowledge to make levels or anything. But as time came, and more updates started rolling out, and therefore, more creations came. Nothing that notably special. However, when 2.2 came, creators went extraordinarily out of their way to exceed RobTop's expectations. In fact, not even he knows how people make levels this crazy and incredible. However, there is one big problem to all of this. If we keep pumping out levels this sophisticated and this complex, people are just gonna want something better each time. Their expectations will raise every single time. And eventually, you won't be able to do better and better after every level. And eventually, the Geometry Dash community may just fall apart because we cannot produce better, and because we just went too far when we created levels. At this point, creators may even be making actual updates for the game before RobTop himself can even make updates for us. And this is why I think this right here is my final and biggest hot take of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's different video. I'll be down to make a part 2 if you guys want, because I still have a couple ideas that didn't make it in. But let me know in the comments if you guys want a part 2. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I may be uploading less frequently soon since school for me is gonna start, and I have a lot of things in my personal life to do. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.